Greetings and welcome to NATE Module 1 Unit 14 of NBA Accreditation and Teaching and Learning in Engineering. In the previous unit, we understood the nature of categories of engineering knowledge, and prior to that we also looked at the categories of knowledge which fall under the general category. We identified between the two 8 categories of knowledge, and in this unit we try to understand the importance of taxonomy table in achieving alignment among outcomes, assessment and instruction. As we mentioned already, alignment between these 3 elements in a course is very important, and taxonomy table provides a simple tool to kind of address this issue of alignment. Now, to take a relook at our revised Bloom taxonomy, cognitive domain has 2 dimensions: cognitive processes and knowledge categories. There are 6 cognitive processes and 4 general categories of knowledge. And courses in sciences, mathematics, humanities, social sciences, management, in engineering programs if you take, because engineering programs have all these categories, they are only concerned with the 4 categories of knowledge. So, one can create under revised Bloom taxonomy a table with 6 rows of cognitive processes and 4 categories of knowledge can serve as an excellent tool to deal with several issues of teaching and learning. This is how the table would look. The rows are cognitive processes and columns are knowledge categories. So, you have a 6 by 4 kind of matrix. So, you have 24 cells there and each cell represents certain combination of cognitive process and knowledge category. One thing we need to point out, in the Krathwohl's book or Anderson and Krathwohl's book, they have presented the taxonomy table with the rows and columns all reversed. That means the rows are knowledge categories and the columns are cognitive processes. We felt that natural order is this, in the sense whenever you write an outcome, you start with an action verb which represents a cognitive process. So, cognitive process comes first, cognitive activity comes first and the knowledge categories come later. That is the reason why whenever you look at it, we felt that the row should be represented by cognitive process, but it is a very simple change, it does not alter anything otherwise. If somebody feels comfortable with these 2 reversed, it is fine, there is no issue involved in that. Now, let us look at the features of this RB or revised Bloom taxonomy table. A cell of the taxonomy table can be numbered by its cognitive process 1 to 6 and its knowledge category 1 to 4. So, the cell 4(3) represents analyze procedure outcome or analyze procedure instructional activity or actually and or analyze procedure assessment. So, a cell you can, for example, if you want to look at apply procedure outcome, then we can write it as 3(3). There is a hierarchy among the cognitive processes that we have mentioned earlier, that analyze is at a higher hierarchical level than apply level. So, to that extent the hierarchy among cognitive process, the cell 4 comma star represents more complex. Complexity is defined in terms of higher level cognitive activity than the cell 3 comma star means any knowledge category. So, here we define complexity as something belonging to higher cognitive level, but it is not necessarily more difficult activity. Difficulty is another dimension altogether. So, complexity and difficulty should not be mixed. Unfortunately, they have been mixed without knowing by large segment of the faculty. They consider higher level complex activity is more difficult. It does not have to be. Okay. So, difficulty and complexity are two different concepts and two different things. Difficulty represents another, you can say, third dimension of this taxonomy table. And because of the hierarchy, the cell 4 comma star implies all activities in 3 comma star, 2 comma star and 1 comma star. For example, going back to this, if I take 4 comma 3 is what? 4 comma 3. If this is the activity, if this is a cell that I am looking at, if I am looking at an outcome here, all the activities related to these 3 cells which are hierarchically lower, they are automatically implied. That means I do not have to mark those cells. That is the implication of hierarchy. Now, we move on to engineering courses. Revised Bloom-Vincenti taxonomy table is different from revised Bloom taxonomy table, because we are adding another 4 categories of knowledge that were mentioned by Vincenti. So, now we may call it as RBV taxonomy table. Revised Bloom-Vincenti taxonomy table will have 6 rows and 8 columns. Otherwise, the features of RBV table are the same as those of RB table. Okay. Now, if you look at, you have the taxonomy table for engineering courses is like this. Okay. We add these extra factual, conceptual, procedural, metacognitive. To them we add these 4 categories of engineering knowledge. So, it becomes a 6 by 8 matrix. Now, majority of engineering science courses offered at present, like fluid mechanics, thermodynamics, electromagnetic theory, network theory, do not normally address the 4 categories of engineering knowledge. However, a teacher may want to choose to address some of the categories of engineering knowledge in his or her engineering science courses, but by and large people do not address the engineering knowledge categories in engineering science courses. So, if you want 6 by 8 RBV taxonomy table can be made applicable to engineering science courses. So, if you look at your curriculum, you will find if you eliminate all the basic science courses, engineering science courses, management courses, English and all that, the number of true engineering courses are constitute only small percentage. So, as you can see, in an engineering program, the importance given to engineering courses is very small. Sometimes it is insignificant percentage. That is the reason why a graduate of engineering programs is likely to be engineering scientist rather than an engineer. What are the elements of a course? We have mentioned earlier, we are going to mention this repeatedly because of its importance. The 3 elements of a course are course outcomes, representing what the student should be able to do at the end of the course, which you will look at in great detail in the following units. Assessment of the course outcomes through assignments, tests and examination, and instructional activities to facilitate the learners attaining these course outcomes. So, the three activities, when you actually implement in the classroom, you will have course outcomes communicated to the students, then you conduct instructional activities, then you do the assessment. When you design the course, you change the order. You write the course outcomes first, then design the assessment and adjust your instructional activities to facilitate the learners to perform against the proposed assessment instruments. Okay. Now, what is alignment? We said assessment should be in alignment with the course outcomes, instruction should be in alignment with the assessment. So, when all the three are in alignment with each other, then only you have the right kind of learning. And we also said any element of the course, that is assessment, instruction, course outcomes, they can be tagged by its cognitive level through which is indicated by the action verb, and knowledge categories which can be more than one. So, based on the tagging that you have, which we mentioned like 4, 3, 3, 3 like that, based on the tagging an element, it can be located in one or more cells of the taxonomy table. Okay, we will presently see. So, alignment among the elements of a course means being in the same cell of the taxonomy table. If all the three activities are in the same cell, then all the three are aligned. That is how we look at alignment. Now, we took at the RBV taxonomy table, the same thing will be applicable to the RB taxonomy table as well. And here we are looking at the cell 2, 3, that is understand procedural. Now, CO3 is located there and AI3 and IA3. AI is assessment items, AI is assessment items or instruments, IA3 is instructional activity. When all the three are located in the same cell, we call it complete alignment. But in actuality, that is not the only thing that is acceptable. What we may have, we can call it less alignment, but still relevant. Let us take the second column, where with CO5 is in analyze conceptual category. But what happens is we have AI5 or IA5. Let us take IA5. Instructional activity is dominantly in the apply category, but not in the analyze category. That means CO5 and IA5 are not in complete alignment, but still that activity is relevant, but less aligned. Similarly, you can have IA5 in understand conceptual category, and also IA5 is in remember conceptual category. Say all these are required to address CO5, you may say, but if there is no IA5 at all in that 4, 2, then obviously you are not, you cannot say that you have attained CO5. Same thing applies to assessment instruments also. The questions that I ask in any of the assessment part is not located in the 5, 2 category, it is always less. So, that level of non-alignment is not acceptable. That means you are not doing what you are expected to do. You wrote a very high level, higher cognitive level outcome, but neither you are testing him in that nor doing your instructional activity that leads to attainment of CO5. You take another one, CO4, that is apply procedural category, which is very common, and IA4 means my instructional activities are actually done there, which is quite good. That means instructional activity and course outcome are aligned, but I do not ask any questions in my examinations or tests that come under the come into this particular cell. They are all above, that is AI4 in understand procedural issue and the otherwise remember procedural. This is generally what happens in presently in most of the colleges in terms of assessment. That means I cannot claim if my assessment is confined to 2, 3 or 1, 3, then I am not I cannot claim that I am attaining CO4 at all. So, we request you to kind of spend time on this and take a look at how you are doing and what is it that you can do, so that AI4 can also be brought into the cell 3, 2, sorry 3, 3. I need to bring them here. Okay. I hope I have been able to explain the importance of alignment through the taxonomy table. This is what we have just now explained, like CO5 is an analyzed conceptual cell, but AI5 and IA5 are not in 4, 2 cell, and this is totally unacceptable. Proper alignment requires course outcome and related instructional activities should be in complete alignment, at least that much should be done. That means they are locatable in the same cells. While some small percentage of assessment items can be in cells representing lower cognitive levels, less than that of CO, but significant percentage of assessment items should be in the same cell as that of CO. What is this significant percentage? What percentage is acceptable? If my CO is in one particular cell, at least we consider more than 50% of the questions that you ask in any of the assessment instruments should be in that category. This is of course is a little bit of what you call personalized statement, and we claim subsequently we show that it should be more than 50%. We put that figure at 60 to start with. If you want to make it 100%, you are most welcome, but 100% may lead to other issues. So, we are suggesting, which we will elaborate later, that 60% of the assessment items should be in the same cell as that of CO. Of course, this language may be different from what you are familiar with, but this is related to the alignment issue. So, what can the taxonomy table do? It can facilitate achieving a specified alignment among the 3 elements of course and eliminate chance occurrences. For some reason you have decided, I want to give more weightage to the lower cognitive level than the CO. So, take the taxonomy table and put your percentages to start with in corresponding cells. So, what happens when you are designing your either question bank or your assessment instrument? So, you have the numbers, reference numbers in front of you. That is one purpose the taxonomy table can serve. And also we will show in the later module, it can help design of a well structured test item banks, and consequently validity and reliability. These two are two important properties of assessment can be achieved. Validity and reliability of your assessment can be achieved. We will elaborate on the concept of validity and reliability in the second module. So, these two are two key properties of any assessment, and it can also serve as a tool for organizing direct or automatic intelligent tutoring. This we have done extensively, which is outside the scope of this, and it can be this taxonomy table can serve as an excellent tool in organizing tutoring, whether it is automatic or direct tutoring can be organized using the taxonomy table. Okay. In the next unit, we try to understand the nature of affective and psychomotor domains of learning, which we have mentioned briefly that after cognitive domain you have psychomotor and affective domain as well. While we are not going to spend too much time on this in the following follow-up lectures, but a kind of awareness of affective and psychomotor domains is necessary for a teacher, and in fact we encourage the teachers to spend time on their own to explore the affective and psychomotor domains relevant to the subjects of concern. Thank you very much for your attention.